What's up, everyone? This is Kane here, starting things off with Gear 5 Productions. Just really getting the channel rolling. I'm going to be playing One Piece. I've been a Magic player for the last 4 years, collector and competitor my whole life, and been watching the anime and just fell in love with the game recently, and have been playing the crap out of this leader. I'm going to be playing league play and trying to get into regionals. So finally, I just kind of wanted to jump in and share some of my experiences and some of my gameplay as I try and play in my league and progress through this game. I've been playing since April. Had some decent success with this leader through the last set, and it's just my favorite leader. Gear 5 Luffy is the reason I got into the game, so been loving it. So real quick, he's a 6,000 power leader, red purple. I'm not going to spend a ton of time explaining absolutely everything, but for some of my friends and family that maybe are checking things out, the game's kind of balanced around 5,000 power leaders. So the fact that this is 6,000 power is noteworthy. There's only one other leader that is 6,000 power. The downside that I get with that is most other 2-color leaders are 4 life instead of 3 life. And the entire deck's just built around using my effect and obviously that advantage to my advantage to get cards back. Don, I like when people do leader specific things with my Don, so my 8th and 9th Don are just kind of cues for my leader ability. It's a neat little thing there. I'm gonna start with my events because it kind of sets the stage for the rest of the list. I have kind of a little bit of an off meta or off baseline take on the deck right now. I'm kind of testing it out. If not, I might go back to something a little bit more tried and true, but we'll talk some more about the decisions as we go through. Just with events, some of my counters up front. Gum Gum Jet Gatling, that's your 0 cost purple pitch counter, 3k. Helps you get those bricks out of your hand. Radical Beam, red staple, it's a 1 cost, 4,000 power counter when your leader is 2 life or less, which we get there pretty quick. So just, again, helps me get some of those cards back, get card advantage back. Slow Beam is a very recent addition. It's a 1 cost, tuck 1 Don when you use it. You have 2 characters or a leader minus 2,000 during this turn. So when those people are going wide trying to check you for 6,000 aggressively, it's a new check. That's a recent addition. Kind of with the fact that I'm up in new gates, it leaves me just another option to leave open and bluff people to some extent. Diable Jambe makes a Straw Hat person unblockable. Phenomenal. Staple. 2 of wins me games. You'll see it frequently. When you're at sea, if you fight against pirates, I don't see as many other red purple Luffys on this. It's a top 3 searcher for Heart, Kid, or Straw Hat Pirate. Great flexibility with 7 cost Kid, 4 cost Law, and I just want a little bit more card selection. I'm actually off Queens right now. I cut Queen, which seems to be kind of a format staple or a color staple. I just never find myself wanting to play it, and a lot of my losses I was playing it, so trying to get card selection up other ways, still to cycle through my deck a little bit more. This is my one of, there's no way you could defeat me counter. KO up to one of your opponents with characters with base 6,000 or less. So huge, it's just a game-changing one of. You'll see it in both the games that I play today against Bonney, being really relevant. I was on 2 for a little bit there. It's just still, 3 Don is still kind of a lot, but it's massive and your opponent has to think about it for the rest of the game after you do it. Recently, I did add the Robin tech, KO 1,000 power or less. At first, I wasn't a fan of this because it's not the most flexible inherently, but it does help with your black matchup against Rebecca's, your Rosinante KOing against your Bonnies and green decks, and also Mr. 2s in the Mir or other purple decks. So it's huge. It's nice for that, but it's kind of dead outside of those 3 scenarios baseline, but I have some other support for it that we'll talk about as I get there too. 4 Nami searchers, of course. I'm on a ton of Straw Hats. I forget the exact count right now, but it's more than enough. She doesn't really miss, just to get through that deck. 3 Zorojuros. This is another kind of unpopular take I hear in kind of the discussions that I have. A lot of people think 4 is kind of mandatory. In my opinion, I just never want to play it after turn 2, so 4 feels like a lot. So I trimmed that and moved it into other places. 4 Mr. 2s. You could say the same thing about this, but the fact that this is not searchable is a big difference. It's a former Baroque Works, even though it looks like Nami. So just huge, and also this can be a much bigger threat inherently. The way that it works, when you attack, you copy one of your opponent's character's power. So mirrors or other players, when you get to swing for 6, 10, 12k with this sometimes, whereas this is always 4. Right now I'm on 3 of the law blockers. So this is huge in the current meta. A lot of single color leaders get 5 life, so they're inherently going to have a lot more cards than you. It's huge into Enel, it's big into Bonney, it hits a Lucci a lot. But it's on play, -1 Don. If your opponent has 7 cards, you discard 2 at random, so it can just rip apart their game plan. On 3 of them, it's still a blocker. With my leader effect, it also enables me to get an additional Don. So that play is also helpful as well. Then 2 Kid Killers. So this is one that I'm kind of testing out right now. I was playing it in 07, loved it, or in 06, EBO1 obviously, I loved it. I replaced these with dragons, but now that I'm back on the purple searcher, I put my dragons back into Kid and Killers. Similar kind of board state power for the same amount of Don, if they're below 2 or less. But also at the same time, it's an extra attacker after you play your gear 5, so that can seal up a game sometimes. Then 2 Miss All Sunday. Law's been kind of teching these in. I slotted these in right when I got into the game just because it's cheap and I like the character. Now I'm still down to 2 of her. The trigger coming out of life can be massive. The 5 cost, get a ramp and draw can smooth out your mid game. It goes back to being queens. I just never wanted to play queen in the middle of my curve because it disrupted things too much. And in the late game, if I'm playing queen, I was hoping for the best, kind of. So with that, right now I'm off queens with kind of a little bit more card selection through these other means. And I don't know, I might go back to queens. It is still a good card. I probably won't go back to 4 of them if I do, but that's what I want to kind of track as we go through some of these videos and gameplays. Then we're just getting into Straw Hat 2Ks. Frenisoke is the best option right now, besides Sanji. So right now I'm on 6 2Ks because of how many counter events and other things. The reality of this deck is that you're playing a game of inches and you just get less cards than other people. So really using these 2-for-1 counter events can just be absolute blowouts. And then those 2Ks, a lot of people, especially the more skilled players, are going to check into you 6,000 as much as they possibly can. And at that point, a 6K and a 1K become very similar because they're just trying to get cards out of your hand. So it's just kind of the nature of right now, 6 2Ks do not feel bad, does not really feel bad. But you'll see more through that as we go through the gameplay. So yeah, then those 6 Sanji, obviously phenomenal post gear 5 blocker or just being a great 2K, 6 cost. Then Ein, this is a little bit of my tech. I know a lot of people are on Shanks, but she says on play, make one of your opponent's characters 0. So this is a combo with Nico Robin to KO literally anything. Also, if you swung at me with something, I set it to 0, then swing in maybe something smaller into, that thing I just set to 0. And then I get to leave Don up for my counters and for other things. So I really like her so far. I've only been in it for like 3 or 4 events, but it's been phenomenal. It's surprised a lot of people, and I'm also now up to 4 new gates, which we'll get to in a moment, which also lets me pop anything with her as well. I think it's really good. I think you'll be pretty impressed with it as we go through the games. 7 cost Kid, deck staple. Kind of want to hit this on curve as much as you possibly can. On play and when attacking, -1 Don, make your leader plus 1,000 until end of turn or until the start of your next turn. So then your leader is 7,000 when you pass it, and that gives you 2,000 advantage over everybody, right? So that's huge. It really disrupts the mid game when people are trying to hit you, and you're a 7,000 instead of a 5,000, which is par for the course. Then, like I mentioned too, 4 new gates. I just went up to 4. Phenomenal cards. On play, it makes you plus 2,000, so up to 8,000. I'm gonna move this out. And then it also has Don X2 when attacking KO at 3,000 power or less, so it can just KO something small, or with Ein, it just KOs anything in the game again, so just huge. Phenomenal card. I just went up to 4 because it just seems like, again, with a little bit of a more aggressive slant, I want to ramp, I want to play a new gate, I want to play a new gate, I want to play my gear 5. This is the card that got me into the game real quick. 10 cost, on play, 10 Don gets tucked, so you put all your Don back. Then you get rid of all your characters, but you get an extra turn. And then my leader allows me to get 1 Don back. This also helps you get additional Don, so you'll see the reset, and I'll talk about it in the gameplay a little bit more. But it's basically a big giant time walk creature. So being able to chain these things up, protect yourself, and then reset and go for the win is just devastating. A lot of people will see this card and just say, all right, good game. But yeah, we'll talk some more about the gameplay as we get it going. Going to be a lot of adjusting as we go through this process, but I'm excited. So see y'all soon.
Alrighty, we're here in round one against Bonney here. So gonna be going a little 1.5 times speed and kind of running through here. We both mulliganed. She went first, didn't get her searcher turn one, and then turn two did get the searcher off the top. So pausing for just a second, I realized that the Don's not fully in frame. Gonna adjust some of the recording practices as I go through here and get used to more things, but for now I'm going to go ahead and play it and we'll roll through here. So she did get that. Now my 2 Don play I passed without doing anything. She went to 3, uses more pizza, gets an Rouge, and then has 2 Don remaining. So then she uses 1, swings 6k into me. My opener was pretty good. I had 2 Mr. 2s, so I used 1 to counter out here. Now I go up to 4 Don. Play my... actually, I swing into life first here, because they're probably going to take it anyways. I don't need to use the active Don. So I then Mr. 2, get the active Don, and go. Now she's up to 5, and she has that Rouge, which is very likely going to come down. And we'll see what she has. So now I'm a little bit awkward. It's also why I left open the 1 Don, so if I need to use a counter here I could, just because next turn I'm going to be playing my 7-cost kid on curve for 7 Don, and I want to make sure that I protect a little bit if I need to there or can there. I think I actually ended up holding it, so as I say that, I guess I decided not to at the time anyways. Did give me a new gate there, and then I drew a kid and killer, so I'm sitting here thinking how sequencing works here with her ability, because when I attack, she can pay 1 Don to rest down one of my characters. So I'm like, okay, how do I want to go about this? So I swung the 7, let her rest down the Mr. 2, and then go in there. So if I swung with the Mr. 2 first, she has the opportunity to rest my leader, and it would have only been a 5,000 power swing. So now I got to swing 7, and she rests down the Mr. 2. Maybe the case could be made to not swing so she doesn't get the value there, but I did take a life, so relevant, right? So I know we're going fast as that first one. A couple of turns started, but I knew it was going to slow down a little bit, so I think we'll be at a decent pace. But again, I'll be open to feedback as I'm kind of going through this process. I'm going to probably record vertically next week, I think, make sure I get a better shot. So yeah, we're talking about here how I went through and kind of knocked her off her curve, and by going second, I built the deck to be very flexible to that end, because I want to kind of knock people off their curve the best I can, but also being able to go Mr. 2 into kid is like exactly what I want to be doing. So now we're here. Swung at 6k in, and then played Bartow and Cavendish, and then passed. The Cavendish on play and on attacking restands 2 Don for that Bonney, which is huge. So now she's starting to set up a little bit, and we're kind of going through what's the next sequences here. So I play them because if I play the new gate, I get my leader up to 8k. But if I swing with either kid or my leader, the other one gets rested. So I believe what I end up doing here is I play the new gate and then swing with the kid. So I tuck the Don at that point. And I have my 9k leader, but I got an 8k swing off, and she's kind of forced to rest my leader at that point. And then she takes the life there. It's kind of surprising. I thought she might block. But yeah, maybe she wanted some card selection or was looking for like maybe a top end Dofi or something to turn the game here. So overall, I've been liking this deck a ton. I'm tweaking it a little bit more. I think I am going to go back on queens, which is kind of funny after having the deck tech that kind of highlighted that I wasn't. But this event, I don't think not having queens was the problem per se. But I do think just having that little bit of flexibility and insurance is good enough. So we'll talk about what changes I make next week. But this event ended up being 2-3. And yeah, the first 2 rounds were against Bonney, so we'll talk some more about that. So she did Bonney search, and then get a trigger off of Bartow.
And then Bartolo effect because I rested character, I get to draw a card, trash card. No, it was not. Next card, which is devastating.
So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit problematic that I didn't have her down in frame here for being the Cavendish or Rouge deck, because I think now she's up to 9 here, I believe, and the Bonney would have been 2, put her down to 7. Then she's debating what to do here with the swings and Cavendish. So you guys have a ton of counter events in here, so I'm actually a little bit nervous this turn, because I actually can't counter. I don't have any Don open, so it's a bit concerning. She swings real big. 10k into Kid, I believe it was. Oh no, 10 into lead. Take, oh, and the John Bay trigger hits Bartow here. Yeah, that was big.
Swing 10 at your lead. No! First we gotta take, right? Home run 5 for
And I was kind of thinking here too, she ends up Bonnying down the Kid, and I was a little bit concerned about leaving the Bonney on board, but I kind of felt I was at a point where I just kind of had to force life. I didn't want to expend one of my attacks, especially when she gets to kind of 2 for 1, rest down one of my characters. I just felt I couldn't really afford it. So for now, I am kind of playing the audio for the gameplay a little bit quieter than talking over it, and speeding the gameplay up a little bit. So let me know how you guys feel about this format, or if maybe I should just play some music instead of having the background on there. But yeah, I have a great local scene that I get to play in. So very competitive group, a lot of people that are playing in big tournaments. So it's been great for me to really test this deck out, and because I do think it has great legs. I generally feel great into, not great, but I feel good, and I have plans into all the top decks, which is nice. But yeah, Law here being massive in this meta, like I mentioned, got to rip in a Rouge from her hand. And then I'm swinging into Cavendish with the Newgate, just because I can't let her swing exceedingly wide. And she does give me two Ks and a 1K there.
press your lead.
Then I do Kid and Killer. She's at 2 life. And I think that I send this into Cavendish as well, and she just blocks with her Rouge.
That's the turn? I don't know how I feel about any of the moves I just made, but
Me neither.
I take them back. That's right. No, right.
Oh, so now here I'm kind of thinking like, man, if I let that Bonney search into a Kid, I'm going to be pretty frustrated. And I'm thinking like, what else can she do besides that? If she's Bonney searching here, then obviously she doesn't have a Doflamingo. Doflamingo would probably be pretty tough right now too. But she's trying to figure out which direction she wants to go here. With my Law play and my Kid and Killer, I do believe I left open even 4, -1, +1. So I should have 3 down open because I was holding open that KO counter event here. And obviously all 3 of my beams. Sorry, I should probably speak up a little bit. I'm not trying not to be too loud or too overt as we're going through here, but
that is the luxury I had with having no other interest until '09. Is that?
I was playing Mono Yellow Big Mom.
Okay.
Was my go-to.
Yeah, so I remember she was talking about being able to, kind of switch to a new deck and getting used to all the sequencing and things that go along with it. Because Bonney is nuanced, like I mentioned. I mean, you probably just heard me, but yeah. So a lot of sequencing, the way that you attack with that Cavendish, and when you freeze things down with Bonney, etc. It matters, and you kind of see it come up a couple different times in this game. Oh, also, I realized that I had slow beam wrong here. It actually should only be one leader and one character, so that's kind of my fault. I am now replacing it with slow beam sword because I think that flexibility is a little bit better. Than yeah, so that's my bad. My opponents did read it too. I did show them the card, but yeah, I missed that or kind of misunderstood that. So easy thing to miss. Always to double check things. Always double check your opponents. It can be make a big difference. Oh yeah, and then she plays the Rouge, and then I'm trying to look for my Gear 5, hit it. So basically, it's kind of now obvious or known that I got a 1-turn clock because anything I get to untap with next turn, I get to swing all out, and then I get to reset my board and take an extra turn. So now it's alright, set up a wall, control the board, and chip away at life here. That Cavendish gives her so much Don. Being able to play the Bonney and the Rouge and leave Don open is very flexible. Protecting the Rouge there, I think makes sense for her. Again, still I'm kind of risking leaving this Bonney on board. Then I play my kid, get an extra Don. So I think here I played a Nami and then kid and then reset with my leader. So I had 3 Don open here. So again, here I'm a little bit concerned if that Bonney searches right into a kid. Obviously, that's not ideal for me. So that's something to kind of be concerned about here. But I think I kind of had to play it that way with the swingers that I do have and try to make sure I get value. At this point, I'm feeling relatively comfortable with my 3-cost event and rad beams in hand. Like, I basically, no matter how she goes about attacking me, I can defend out of it. And then also, I have flexibility either to KO something that maybe she dons up, or KO a blocker as she's kind of sequencing out here. And most people really do not see that event coming. I did play 2 of them for a few events. I liked it, but I'm back down to 1. It doesn't seem necessary. I don't really want to play 2 of them in a game again. So she's thinking a bit. Makes sense because basically game's on the line. She knows my win con's in hand. So big decisions here. And if I recall correctly, she had a decent hand size here too, so I wasn't even really fully convinced that I had it, really, at this point. So it was still a little bit tense, but I was pretty sure, depending on what blockers or what other bodies came in. Send into 9. I kind of realized she doesn't have the kid or something else to wall up, so she's going aggressive. 9 into 7 here. Oh, 9 into kid, my fault. 9 into kid. Yep. Well played. That's a good idea by her. Kind of wanted to counter it. Oh, I think I actually made a mistake here. I don't think I activated my leader. So I think I may have only had 3 Don open. So I should have been able to rad beam. I was a little bit nervous here. Then she went all in on the Cavendish. She's expecting to be able to, on the Bonney, sorry, she's expecting to be able to stand up one with the Arouge, but I KO the Arouge here, and that is absolutely massive.
Over here. I don't know how I feel about my odds right now.
I'm gonna declare block and then encounter, pay 3 to KO over. There's no way you can defeat me.
Yeah.
KO base 6 KO.
But it still KOs him because
Yes, he still goes. Yeah. I could KO Bonney hypothetically, but
No.
Yeah, I really like that counter. It's massive. So now I'm going life.
that's my cheeky one of that.
Yeah, someone from the LGS that I had gotten with it before had come over, and
I love it. It's
one of my somebody that I played against before had come over and was talking about it. So kind of funny. Yep, 2 2Ks, takes 10, Sun God,
I'm gonna reset because I'm Bonney, and I'm just kidding. Use an 8
tuck all my down, use my leader, 7 in. She comes out of that one,
Oh my god, no.
go 10 in,
What's gonna happen here?
that hits, 12 in.
reactivate leader, reactivate.
Massive. So very big game, absolutely won by the event there. Alright, jump right into round 2. We were 1-0 going into round 2 against Bonney again. So getting right started here. I forced him to go first again. He had the turn 1 searcher this time. Here I've got my searchers, and I got my Nami and a Mr. 2. So Curry was looking pretty good for going second. Here he searches up the kid turn 1, so I'm not getting as lucky as I got last round with that. Here I at least got his Don in, my Don's still not in. So yeah, I think I need to go vertical next time. That's on me. So we'll adjust here. But I searched up a 2K, and we're feeling pretty good. Here searches again. With the Bonney this time. Gets a Basil, so already seeing the things that are going to make this game a little bit more interesting. Then 6 straight in, and I just send a 1K there because I got a spare Mr. 2. Swing in with the Nami into Bonney. The Mr. 2, and here I did go for the 7 because I already had the rested Don accounted for. If he had left the 1 up there, he could have protected something or made me force something differently. But then yeah, he goes Cavendish right on curve, right into 6K. I take that one, and then we're going up to 7 Don and going active here. A little bit awkward. Didn't have a great play or anything on curve to really run out here. I'm trying to recall what I actually ended up doing. So this is right now where kind of the deck, I do have 3 kids where that's kind of the ideal play here, but there's just not phenomenal other cards for this slot to create consistency. In 09 there's like a Sanji coming that I think will be nice, and there's some other 8-drops that have come out that have been pretty good, but the only other thing that I see people playing is like Banished Zoro, which I think is fine. It's just not an exciting play, and it can kind of sometimes be chewed up in against like Lucci or other things. Maybe I should go back to having 1 or 2 of them in, but slots are just so tight. I'm not so sure about it. 'Cause I don't really, again, it's not something that I really want to play outside of yellow. It's great into an L. It feels phenomenal into an L. But yeah, all right. So I swing in there with a Bonney with a Nami that turn because he didn't have the Bonney mana Don up after I swung with my leader. So just kind of made the best out of that. I do swing in with Namis every once in a while, and it also kind of takes a swing back out of my opponent, which is nice sometimes. But yeah, him having a Cavendish on curve, and then also being able to go into 7 Don on Cavendish is pretty big. Something kind of interesting happens here. I'm going to kind of pause the video and talk about it once I get up to it. But so he swings with the Cavendish after playing the Basil, and I use the event to KO the Cavendish here. So I think that's definitely relevant. Maybe could have saved that and swung into him other ways, but having the Cavendish up, it's tough. I'm sorry, the Basil Hawkins up is tough. Swing 7 in, 2K easy, and we go active. I think again here I was a little bit awkward on what I wanted to do. I did just jam the Law because he had the cards in hand. Ripped the kid out of his hand and a Barto. Felt great. Thought that may have been what turned the game in my favor here. Um, Now I'm looking back through. I believe that was in my 9 down turn, so I have 5 still around. And I think I just go big on my Mr. 2. Yeah. So I want to kind of force him to block with Basil, or at least make it awkward. Take a life. So he's debating for that Bonney effect. Oh yeah, resting the Law kind of caught me off guard here. I thought leader for sure, but then even there, after I swung that, I thought he was going to just block for free, and he did not. He gave me a 2K. So interesting thing here. So you may not even caught it, but he went to 10 down there. He was on 7, and then he went straight to 10. And I just kind of pause it here and say, hey, you took too many. But like, I just want to rewind that a little bit, because in the moment I was a little bit uncomfortable. Thought it had to be an accident, right? But like, I don't know, just the way that he kind of like set his Don up, and then sorry, I'm trying to find it right. And then like he picks up the 3, looks at him, and sets them all out, and kind of does it nicely. I don't know. I kind of caught it. Didn't end up being a big deal. Didn't cause a big scene out of it, but felt a little bit off to me. So we get that corrected, and now he's at 9 down.
You should be at 9 now, right? You're at 7 last turn? Because you Basiled and restood 2, and then...
So now he's just baiting out the 9 down turn. Swings in a good 10 there. So he turns on the aggression pretty effectively here at good timing. Ended up being a big deal.
4 down after 10. Okay. Be another 10. Basil probably wouldn't be. I guess we will red bean. 9, 3.
Then he ends up swinging with the Basil too. He went real aggressive in here. But then he went for the Rouge and played it. So yeah, very aggressive line that he took there. I definitely wasn't expecting that to be the sequence of things that we did there, but so yeah, we're starting to get pretty tight on thoughts here. I'm at 10, and I'm debating whether or not I just send it. I didn't want to send the Law in. So that was also another thing that kind of happened a tiny bit awkward here, is I went in with my leader, and he like immediately rests this Don, and I was like, wait, why'd you rest the Don? You didn't say anything. And he's like, kind of just like says like, oh no, I made a mistake, that's fine, and I used it to do that. And I was like, oh, I was trying to give you like an out because I didn't hear what you said. You didn't say anything, you just rested the Don. But he kind of just went with it, so I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll take the little bit of advantage. I was trying to kind of give him a little bit of freedom out there. Maybe he was feeling guilty about it earlier. Maybe I'm just in my own head about that. But yeah. So then I go to my extra turn, go up to 5. I'm still not feeling really phenomenal here. Is the thing. Yeah, we're losing the Don there is definitely big, but it's really kind of a tough spot for me. I'm trying to remember what I actually did here. So we have 4 down up. We have the opportunity to swing with both of my attackers here, which is particularly good. Wasn't going to be the case. Oh yeah, unblockable into Basil. Yeah, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe that wasn't the best play. Maybe I should have gone Mr. 2. Give me an extra body for next turn. So I really wanted the Basil out of the way, but if he leaves up to the extra blocker here. But either way, I guess I can only block one time. So if I swing in, he blocks with a Rouge. He can't use all his Don here. So yeah, that's probably a waste of Jambe. I probably should have held that Jambe and not prioritize that as heavily, because he probably would have just blocked the Rouge if I gave him the chance to. And then I can still just get through the same amount of attackers next turn. Yeah. Should have swung 12, played Mr. 2, had an extra Don.
So I go to 7, gear 5 lets me go to 8, and I have 8 active.
That may have been the decision here. That was kind of tough. Yeah, I way overthought that. Because I've had situations where I didn't aggressively Jambe into the board and take that threat out, and it really hurt. And I guess kind of to that end, them having a 7k body could have mattered. But either way, it would have been only 2 active attackers. Then actually having the Rouge gone there would have been potentially bigger. Because Cavendish restands 2. That would have been break even. He just wouldn't have been able to check me for 1. So if here he still has 2 blockers, but I have my Mr. 2. I swing in with Mr. 2 for 7k. 3 cards in hand. Maybe I could have gone bigger if I had played Mr. 2 last turn instead. I still would have only been able to make 2 attacks. But if they protected the Basil, he would have had 2 Basils up. I don't know. Tough to say. Maybe he would have gone a little bit more aggressively against me too if I had not Jamba'd into the Basil. So hard to say. So instead of the Rouge there, he just has the Rouge and the Basil. Yeah, here's checking my 3-cost event. See, people are afraid of it. That's why I think slow Beam Sword and that being a 1-of, again, just completely changes the momentum of a turn, and it makes people think about it for the rest of the game. One Piece being a best of 1 format's very interesting to me. It feels like it kind of gives that momentum shift and just that little bit of tech so much more power. Or at least that's my theory, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to prove with this channel to some extent. Is I highly believe in this leader. I think this leader is very powerful. The 6k is insane. The effect is very powerful. The synergy with Gear 5 is, I think, the best win con in the game. And rightfully so. Phenomenal character, right? But, yeah. So then my opponent's kind of debating out here how they want to go. And the finish here ends up being very tight and admittedly well played by my opponent. So we'll kind of see what they do here. Because with that Sanji, I'm not exactly sure how much Don I'm leaving open or bluffing. I think maybe 1. Actually, no, I did leave up some because I didn't really have anything else to do after swinging with Gear 5. So I just wanted to be able to kind of bluff a little bit more. That's why I checked on that. Oh yeah, then he had Hody too. Yeah, the extra attack there is tough. So now I think he goes 6 in, checks me. This is where my heart was broken. Because I think I 1k there with my... Oh no, I don't. I did take that one. Okay, never mind. Oh, I did already 1k with my Robin. So I 1k'd with Robin with the Cavendish swing that came in. Then 7 at life comes in, forces the Rad Beam. Because I know he has the potential to just go all in with Hody at that point. So I think he does just swing... Is it 9 or does it go 8? Yeah, it goes 8. Oh yeah, into Sanji. Yeah, that was well played too. Take my extra attacker off the board. More pizza. I think this gets him a 2k. And then he has 2 down up for, I think he jams a Rosinante. and I'm just like, oh, that is brutal. Having the Jambé or the Robin, and playing just slightly differently could have gone quite well. But yeah, he basically sealed it up here now with the blocker on top of everything else. Very well played by my opponent. I wonder if I don't make that Jambé play earlier, a difference is made. But again, then he has two Hawkins coming out of that play, and that makes a big difference as well. So yeah, I kind of let this one play out, but great stuff. Like I said, going to be recording my progress, trying to make this stuff quickly. I'm learning how to edit and everything, so you'll see a lot of things that adjust, and the video angle will get better, and the gameplay will get better. But hopefully taking this deck all the way to regionals pretty soon here, and we'll continue tracking it. So thank you everyone for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. If you have any questions about the list, questions about the leader, questions about the games, feedback about anything, more than welcome to have it. But yeah, here I'm basically just debating out if I do anything else, and I try, but then basically it just comes down to he gets me going big. So GG's. Finishing out here with a quick just deck list screenshot as I talk about the rest of the event. So went 1-1 with the Bonnies off the start. Went into an RP Luffy mirror match. My phone died while recording that game. Very tight, even though he went first, ramped twice straight into two new gates, so put me back on the back foot while I bricked super hard. But even so, I had a chance where I tried to go all in, and if he had just a tiny bit less counter, I would have got him. But I did really try. So great mirror match. He went on to, I think, go X1 in the event. I went into round 4 into a very good Nami player. I wish I had recorded that one actually, because it was very tight, and I actually lost based on two suboptimal attacks. So that matchup in that game is very interesting to that end. So I kind of got to be mindful of that. I wish I did catch that recording, so it was a great learning experience, really. When me and him both kind of in real time were like, oh, yeah, that was not the best. Oh, that, okay,